This is going to be a complete removal and installation guide of a head gasket on a 99 through 2004 Jeep Grand Cherokee. This also applies to any 4.0 Jeep engine. Here we go. First, just go ahead and drain all the coolant. You got your little petcock, get your jug, get your hose, and drain all that stuff. Next, let's go ahead and remove the air filter box. You got your clips, go ahead and undo these. And then here, you got a Phillips. Right there. Go ahead and unscrew that a little bit. Next, unhook this PCV breather hose. Just kind of put it to the side there. You can turn it like that. Then go ahead and remove that 10mm bolt right there, and this sucker should come right up. I'm also going to go ahead and unhook the battery now that we're going to start unhooking some electronics. So I went ahead and took my radiator shroud out because mine was pretty easy. I had the bottom bolts cut off on the actual shroud, so all I have to do is take off these two bolts, take off the clutch fan and pull it up. So if you want to do that, great. If not, just go ahead and leave it, but I did it to have some more room. Let's go ahead and get this belt off. You get your 1/2-inch drive, put it right in here, and turn it, and it should come right off. And then one of the first things I'm going to do is get these linkages off here. So go ahead and pop that like that. This one, if you push it forward, it should pull off like that. This one, same thing, boom. And then we got a 10mm right here, and one more right there. And that comes up like that, and you can kind of just set it to the side. Let's go ahead and pull this breather hose up here. You can kind of just swivel this over here. And then there's one more breather hose here. We'll just unhook that. And then we've got a bunch of various connections over here, so we'll go ahead and get that off. This O2 sensor here. We've got a couple down here, because we're going to move all these wiring harnesses and everything out of the way. So if you get those out, we'll move on to the next step. Now with these hoses removed, you can have some more room to work. Go ahead and remove this ground wire. It's a 7/16. Next, we're going to remove the coil pack to get even more room. These are 13mm bolts. If you get 1, 2, 3, and then 4, there should be one connector and you can pull it right out. Like so. And then that connector right there should pop right off. It has a little push tab, so if you push and pull, it'll come off. Next, we're going to have 4 14mm bolts. 1, 2, 3, and then there's one hidden right here. So if you go here and then boom, there's one right there. So I go ahead and get those out, and your bracket will be free. And just like that, she's out. Let's go ahead and get this pulley off. That is a 14mm. All right, next we're going to remove the power steering pump and just set it to the side. So we got a couple 13mm bolts. All right, there's one, and there's 2. There's one down here at the bottom. After you get those 3, this pump, you can just move it over to the side here. Now we've got some more connections to unhook. Basically just go through, find all the wiring that connects, and unhook it. Easy peasy. One more there. There's another oxygen sensor back here. You just push the tab back and then push. There's another vacuum port there. That one comes out really easily. And one more right there. That one also comes out easily. And the last one here, you might have to pry it a little bit, but it should come right off. Next, I'm going to pull this plastic wire holder here. It's sitting on these studs, so you kind of just got to pull it up. And then let's go ahead and get this aluminum heat shield out of there. That's for heat soak. You definitely want to save that and keep it as nice as possible. You can, just gently pull it up and save that. Next, go to each injector and move the red tab up so that way we can unplug them all. Be careful because they're probably brittle. Those two connectors will probably be the hardest too. You might have to go underneath, but go ahead and get those so we can move the whole harness. Now that I got the oxygen sensor plugs unhooked from down below, we can start finagling this wire harness over so that way we can get that all the way out of the way. Pull this under here. Make sure nothing gets snagged, and then move it all the way over. And just like that, all that wiring is out of your way. This bracket here has a 10mm bolt. It comes out right there, and then once you do that, this bracket will be free of the intake manifold. In this video, I want to make a correction. So here I am 4 months later, removing the head again. This has nothing to do with the video, but the head I was sold from Clearwater Cylinder Heads ended up having a flaw to it, which made number 2 cylinder smoke. So I'm taking everything apart again. In the video, I instructed you to remove the fuel injectors, which you do not have to do. You only have to remove this here. Unless you want to do everything, replace all your seals, which I highly suggest. But this time around, I'm leaving the fuel rail in. Put a little cap over that, like a little brake bleeder cap right there. So put that over so it doesn't get anything in. And then get your 9/16 ratcheting wrench, go through here, get them all like that instead of the ghetto way I was showing you before. It's crazy how you learn better tricks every time you go. But yes, do that. All right, let's go ahead and get this fuel rail loose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 10mm bolts. Go ahead and get those out. And then once you take the brackets off on the ends, there's 2 more 10mm bolts, and then that will finally free up the fuel injection rail. Oh yeah, and don't forget to just release the pressure. You just take that. I did before and it kind of squirted, so just expect that. That actually wasn't as easy as I thought it would be, but it's possible. So, and just be careful when you pull it out to make sure it's right side up so that way gas doesn't spill everywhere. And go ahead and plug the hole up if you can. Alright, let me go ahead and show you what we did here. So all of these bolts, which are 9/16, I went ahead and broke them all free. Some of them are a little hard to get to. You might need a wrench. Somehow I was able to get them all with a socket. That one, I used actually a short on most of these. That one you can get there and break it free. That one was the sketchiest one. I basically had it on like 3/4 of the way, which I don't suggest. And then this one in the back, as long as you have an extension, is pretty easy to get. So if you go ahead and break all those free now, you won't have to do it here coming up soon. So this one, since I didn't have a wrench, I risked it. I put on some extensions and I was able to get it free. I would spray some penetrating lubricant on these also, because as you can see, they're all rusty and they've all been there for a while. So you might have a little bit of issues, but I would suggest get you a 9/16 wrench, maybe a ratcheting one. You'll need a long 9/16 socket, a short 9/16 socket, and some extensions, and you should be able to get all of these out pretty easily. It wasn't as hard as I thought it'd be. One is right by injector number 3, and you can kind of see it through that hole. But if you take your extension, this is what I have here. You get up in there, you find it, set it on the bolt, and then my extension sat perfectly right there, and then I took my ratchet and it broke right free. Now let's go ahead and locate the other one that's on injector number 4, or under injector number 4. That was a real pain, but I was finally able to get the 4 bolts underneath, but I'm also going to show you once I take this off where exactly the bolts are. All right, finally got that sucker out. All right, so let's see. One bolt there. So up from this bolt here, which is the second bolt, one bolt there, which is directly up from this bolt, which is the third bolt, one bolt there, which is directly up from the fourth bolt, right there, fourth bolt, and then one bolt there, which is still in, and that is the second from last bolt. So boom, boom, right there. So just use that as a reference point. You'll be able to go from up top. You don't have to go underneath to get these bolts, but if you use these reference points, you'll be able to get those bolts. It will take some time though. All right, so the last exhaust manifold bolt is all the way back here. Actually, sorry, it's a nut. There's one nut there and one nut there. Those are the only 2 nuts. The rest are bolts. All right, everything's unattached. And she pulls right off. All right, now that she's all stripped down and naked, we are getting ready to pop the block off. So what we're going to do first is we're going to take all of these rockers and lifters out. So here we have 1/2 inch nuts. So you're supposed to take all these off, keep them in the exact order, so that way we make sure they go back into the same position as they were. All right, so go ahead, break them all free, and then I'll show you what I do to keep these nice and organized so they all go back in the same place. All right, so here's what I did in case I do get them mixed up. I numbered each one of them 1 through 12, which will not hurt anything. And then I numbered these 1 through 6. And then I'm going to pull them out. What I'll probably do is I'll pull the push rods out and leave these so that way they don't get mixed up. All right, so I took all the push rods out. I found a box that was perfect, and what I did was I just lightly labeled them, and then I sat them all in a row so that way they can all go back in order. But I will I will have to clean that. Holy crap, that's dirty. All right, we got them all loose. Now one last thing, let's go ahead and just take note of where the studded ones are, because that's what the valve cover gasket sits on. So you see how it has those holes? So you want to make sure those go back in the same spot. So one there, that's the second from last, and one there, second from front. This side all has the tops, and this side is mostly just bolt heads. Word to the wise, before you rip the head off, go ahead and suck all the coolant out of this hole here, so coolant doesn't end up getting into your cylinders when you pop the head and the head gasket off. Boom, boom. All right, everything's loose. Let's get this sucker pried up. See if I can get in here maybe, or right there, or maybe right here. This should be good. Okay. Yes, sir. Look at that. She free. All right. I'm going to set this camera up. We're going to get all these bolts out and see what the block looks like. Haha, look at that. Boy, it took a lot of work to get to this point. Let me tell you what. All right. So I had a winch mount on the front, which was making it really hard. So I removed it, and let's see. This sucker's heavy, boy, but I think I almost got it. Yeah, Lee. Yeah. Okay. Now, getting this sucker out. It's off. Now I gotta get it out. Oops. Yeah, that sucker's heavy. good. That is not good. Cylinder 6 is full of coolant. Alright, so now that I got the cylinder head off, now it's time to start cleaning this sucker up. So I'm going to get the vacuum, I'm going to rip the head gasket off, and then we're going to start cleaning everything up. And that's what a 22-year-old head gasket looks like. Check that out. I might save that. It was still good. That's awesome.